Namaskar. I am Sanjay Mansukhani from wonderdestiny.com. I am a teacher of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And dear friends, today we will be looking in depth at Mahat. Mahat is a short form of Mahatattva. Mahatattva means the great principle. Tattva is principle, Maha is great. So out of the 25 tattvas of this creation, which have been outlined by Kapila Muni in Samkhya Darshan, the only principle which is supposed to be the greatest principle is the principle of Mahat, is the principle of Mahatattva. Mahatattva, Mahat means cosmic intelligence. So Mahat is an evolute, is an evolution, is a baby which comes out when the Purusha comes close to Prakriti. Purusha is pure consciousness, non-changing pure consciousness. Prakriti is the constantly changing principle. It also is eternal, it also is infinite like Purusha. But the essential basic difference between the two of them is Purusha is constant, Prakriti is constantly changing. So when these two tattvas, when these two mental principles come close to each other, out of them both is formed a principle called Mahat. This Mahat represents the cosmic intelligence. This Mahat is the beginning point of the cosmos. This Mahat gives rise to the entire physical cosmos. It goes through an evolutionary process. So we will look at those evolutionary processes. But one needs to understand, Mahat is the first manifestation of Prakriti. Prakriti, when I have used the word Prakriti here, it means Mool Prakriti. It means primordial Prakriti, nascent Prakriti, Prakriti in its stage of equilibrium, where the three qualities of Prakriti, of Rajas, Sattva and Tamas are balanced out. So this Prakriti seems to be unchanging, seems to be in equilibrium. And this Prakriti is unmanifest. So the initial form of Prakriti, the Mool Prakriti, is unmanifest. It cannot be seen. It cannot be perceived with the senses. But it is only a yogi with his power of intuition, with his ability of pragya, viveka, viveka khyati, sixth sense, who is able to experience Prakriti, feel the presence of Prakriti, understand this Mool Prakriti. Otherwise, a common man cannot see the Mool, the primordial, the nascent, the Prakriti which is in equilibrium. But when Purusha comes close, then this equilibrium gets disturbed because of the presence of Purusha. So there is a trigger of Rajas, there is a trigger of excitement, there is a trigger of motion, movement. And this trigger disbalances the entire equilibrium of the three gunas. This balances the equilibrium of Rajas, Sattva and Tamas. And this leads to an explosion of Sattva. There is a very big expansion of Sattva. This explosion of Sattva, this very big expansion of Sattva forms the Mahat. So Mahat is the first manifestation. Mahat is the first evolution. Mahat is the first baby to come out of the unmanifest Prakriti. Now this Mahat, as I told you, gives rise to the whole of cosmos. So how does it do it? It moves stage by stage. In the first stage, Mahat gets formed and then Mahat forms. So what does it form? It forms the individual elements now. So this cosmic intelligence is now broken up into individual intelligences. This individual intelligence is Buddhi. And this individual intelligence leads to the formation of another thing out of it. So out of the Mool Prakriti comes Mahat. Out of Mahat, a part of it is Buddhi. Out of this Buddhi comes Ahankara. So it is sort of acting on both sides. At the input stage, it is picking up something from the past stage. At the output stage, it is growing something new. So Mahat is coming from Mool Prakriti and creates through Buddhi the Ahankara. Ahankara is formed out of the Buddhi or Mahat, and out of its own it creates various other entities. It creates Manas, that is mind. It creates the Indriyas of action, Indriyas of perception, the Tanmatras, and then the Tanmatras in conjunction with the Ahankara form the Panch Mahabhutas. So in the end, the last stages of these tattvas, they stop. They do not form anything new. Say for instance the 5 Mahabhutas, they stop there. They do not form anything new. So that part of the evolution which has come from Tanmatras and made the Panch Mahabhutas, it stops. It stops with Akasha at one end. It stops with Vayu. It stops with Agni. It stops with Jal, and it stops with Prithvi. So Akasha and the other tattvas, they enter a deadlock stage. There is nothing now which can evolve out of them. Similarly, the 5 senses of action, these 5 indriyas of karma, they also reach a dead end in evolution. Nothing comes out of them. So what are these 5 senses of action? They are the senses of speech, the senses of grasping with our hands, the senses of being able to walk, the sense which allows us to excrete, and the sense which allows us to urinate. So these 5 are the end of the evolution in the senses of action. In the senses of perception, there are 5 of them, and the evolution again stops here. So you do not have anything coming out of the sense of sight, out of the sense of hearing, out of the sense of taste, out of the sense of smell, out of the sense of feeling temperature on the skin. So these principles end here. So these are the 15 principles, 5 plus 5 plus 5, which end. And that is the end of the evolution of the creation. There is another 16th tattva, which also comes to an end. And it does not create or evolve anything more, anything further. And that is the mind. So if you count the mind, there are 16 of these principles, 16 of these tattvas, which are the ending points of evolution. Now, dear friends, if you come back to the inner part, because here what we have understood is there are essentially 3 segments of this creation. The first part, where you have the Purusha and the Prakriti, if you are believing in the Sankhya, which has no Ishvara, then these two constitute the spiritual section. But if you believe in the principle of Ishvara, as some Sankhya philosophers do, as Patanjali does in the Yoga Sutras, then you will find in the spiritual part, in the spiritual dimension, in the spiritual zone of existence, there are 3 tattvas. You have the Ishvara, you have the Purusha, and you have the Prakriti. They are infinite, they are permanent. After this, the first element, the first tattva is Mahat, because that is the first manifestation. That is the first manifestation of Prakriti. And this Prakriti evolves. Now from here the mental portion, the mental part starts. And the first major mental area, mental domain, mental part, mental section is Mahat. From this Mahat, you have Buddhi. From Buddhi, you have Ahankara. From Ahankara, you have Manas. So these form the inner, you can say, cause. They are the inner cause. This is the central portion. After the spiritual portion, you have the mental portion. So this constitutes the central portion, because I told you there are 3 parts to it. And they flow in this order: spirit to the mind. And from the mind it flows out into matter. So the last segment, the last portion, is the portion of the physical, is the portion of the world of objects and people, is the portion of the Panch-Mahabhutas, where you have the 5 gross elements, which constitute Dharti, Jal, Agni, Vayu and Akash. So if I repeat, we have 3 portions to our existence: the spiritual, the mental and the physical. Now the mental is in the center. Physical is one end, where things have gone and ended, because we saw the Panch-Mahabhutas end, the 5 senses of action end, the 5 senses of perception end, and the mind which interacts with them also is the end point, also is the finishing point. There is no mind after that. There is no mental portion after that. It ends. So Mahat is, you can say, the cosmic intelligence, the cosmic mind, and the manas, ahankar, and buddhi constitute the individual mind, the individual ego, and the individual intellect. Now these together, the Mahat and the other tattvas of the mind, they can be called the Chitta. It can be called the mind stuff. So this Chitta is where all the action takes place. When we are born, we are automatically shifted out from the spiritual into the mental portion, into the physical portion. And when a child opens its eyes, it is able to see a world. When a child hears a sound, it finds the senses of hearing active. So a baby, when he is born, he has already evolved out into the world, transcending or shifting through the spirit, the mind, and matter. His attention is in the world of matter. His eyes are oriented towards the world of matter. His ears are oriented towards the world of matter. His nose is oriented towards the world of matter. His tongue is oriented towards the world of matter. So he is focused on matter. He is focused on the world outside. He is focused on the samsara. And just because he is focused completely on the outside, so to work on the outside, he uses the power, the strength, and the wisdom of the individual mind, the individual ego, and the individual intellect. Because he is the individual, so he is limited. Because he is the individual, his powers, his attention, his awareness, his consciousness is individual. So he finds that he is different. He is different from all others around him, including his father, his mother, siblings, friends, people in the society, everybody. He realizes he has an independent taste of things, he has an independent thought process, he has independent likes and dislikes, he has independent fears, and he has an individual personality. He has everything based on an individual assessment of who he is. He is given an individual name. He thinks he belongs to an individual community, to an individual country. So he looks upon himself as my name, my body, or my caste, my profession, my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, my wife, my children, my house, my car. His entire world of existence revolves around I, me, my, mine. And then he is completely trapped in this prison of individuality. Most people are born as individuals. Most people die as individuals. Most people who are born as individuals are born, therefore, with individual limited capacity. Individual limited capacity to think and individual limited capacity to act. And when they die with the same limited individual capacity to think and limited individual capacity to act. But there are a few people there are a few yogis who, by working on their individual minds, by working on their individual ego, and by working on their individual intellect, are able to break these three individual prisons. They break free from it and they come out. Now, when they come out, all barriers of individuality have disappeared. So they find themselves in the universal, they find themselves in the cosmic state of existence. And once when they are there in Mahat, then they realize Mahat is what creates all other individual minds, egos and intellects. It is Mahat which drives the minds of all other individuals. So now he is able to act upon other minds, other individual minds. He is able to enter the body of other individuals. That is, he is able to enter other individual bodies. He is able to control multiple individual minds. His own ego, his own ahankar is able to control multiple minds in other multiple bodies. So those bodies, those minds work under the direction of this principal ego, which is there in the yogi's prime personal body. So a yogi, once he reaches the stage of Mahat, so a yogi, once he reaches the state of the cosmic mind, cosmic intelligence, he is able to move, he is able to swim, he is able to glance at the other individual minds all around him. And now he is able to do lot of transformation also. When he is in the individual state, he is bound by the laws of nature. He is bound by the laws of the universe he is operating in, his individual universe. But when he transcends his individual existence, he transcends his individual universe, he operates in the cosmos. A cosmos can have multiple universes. So these multiple universes can have multiple laws, physical laws of universe. So now he is able to shift, to transcend the physical laws of his current universe and start applying the laws of another physical universe. So a yogi, once he is moved out of the individual mind, his zone of influence increases dramatically. There are certain changes which happen when a person is able to operate out of the Mahat. The first is that the power of the mind rises dramatically. The mind which was individual has become cosmic, so the rise in power is phenomenal. The capacity of an individual mind to pick knowledge gets completely transformed. It explodes to a phenomenal level when that individual mind becomes a cosmic mind. Now its range of knowledge is beyond the senses of the individual. Now his range of knowledge is beyond the physical universe he is in. It can extend to many, many dimensions across many, many times. So the knowledge which he picks up when he is operating at Mahat is not the knowledge which is coming in through the senses. It is the knowledge which is coming in through pragya. It is the knowledge which is coming in through intuition. It is the knowledge which is coming in through pratibha. It is the knowledge which is coming in through the six senses, through insight, through the third eye. So Mahat is, you can say in a way, the seed of the cosmos. When a yogi is operating in the mind, in the individual mind, he is able to bring about changes in his individual mind. And when he brings about changes in his individual mind, in his thought processes, he is bringing about change in the immediate environment through karma, through the action which those thoughts trigger in the world outside. But when a yogi is operating from the zone of the Mahat, in this Mahat is the great principle. Now in this zone, if a yogi is operating in Mahat, he can change the characteristics of Mahat. So when he changes the characteristics of Mahat, he is changing the characteristics of the cosmos. So a yogi, by shifting from the individual zone of operation to the cosmic zone of operation, is able to influence his cosmos. He is able to bend his cosmos. He is able to shift his cosmos. He is able to expand his cosmos. He is able to reduce the dimensions of his cosmos. Such a yogi is a kind of a Brahma Rishi now. He has got the power over the creation. He is able to fiddle with the cosmos. He is able to modify, change, edit, delete the cosmos. From Mahat, once a yogi operates here, he starts gaining control over the three gunas of Prakriti. We had seen initially in the beginning of this talk that Prakriti initially in its primordial state, in its mood Prakriti state, in its nascent stage is in equilibrium, because these three gunas of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are in equilibrium. When the yogi reaches Mahat, these gunas develop a natural tendency of falling in equilibrium. And as the yogi proceeds further with shifting his attention towards Prakriti, Mool Prakriti, he finds that these three gunas of Rajas, Sattva and Tamas become so structured, become so organized, become so evened out, that the end result is the equilibrium of Mool Prakriti again. So these gunas stop influencing the yogi now, because they have come to a state of equilibrium. And once when they reach a state of equilibrium, they virtually become inconsequential. So Mahat is the seed of the cosmos. And out of this seed comes the cosmos. So depending on what is there in the seed, the similar cosmos comes out, gets formed. Therefore, dear friends, Mahat is the great principle, because by bringing about even a minor change here in the last tattvas, in the physical tattvas of the Panch Mahabhutas, there can be an absolute change in reality, absolute change in existence, absolute change in this creation. So that is Mahat, and I'm sure you are picking up some important clues, some important learning, so that if a yogi is able to control the cosmos, then he is definitely able to control his own happiness. Then he need not allow any kind of sorrow to impact his mind. So such a yogi reaches a stage of permanent happiness. And we are doing these talks just because that you are able to understand the teachings of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and are able to reach that state of permanent happiness, and you are able to educate or train your family members about this, the members of your society, the people of your country, and the people of this world at large. When all of them, through a collective effort of all of us, become permanently happy, then we will find our planet is a happy planet, and we will be able to leave behind a happy planet for our coming generations, for our forthcoming children. So dear friends, that is the objective, that is the goal. I thank you immensely from my heart for being here and listening to this talk. And I'm sure you have found the path to reach to permanent happiness. And we hope that with these exercises, we are able to take these messages of yoga and its permanent happiness causing potential to each and every family in this world. So I thank you for being here and listening to me, and hope that you achieve permanent happiness in this current life and you are able to help others also to do it. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you, and see you tomorrow round about the same time at 7 p.m. Thank you, thank you, thank you.